In this episode of INN CEO Talks, I'm joined by Jennifer Boyle, the President and CEO of Satori Resources. We're talking about gold, an element and a mineral that is glistening ever brighter these days as its price continues to hover around the $2,000 mark. Jennifer, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You know, you've got a fascinating project at Tartan Lake, your Tartan Lake Gold project in Manitoba. Tell viewers about the project, and then let's also talk about Satori Resources.
Okay, perfect. We have one asset. It's the past producing Tartan Lake Gold Mine. It produced gold between 1986 and 1989. It ceased production in 1989, not because it ran out of ore, primarily because the price of gold fell below $400. Some of the equipment that was put in place was probably a little bit ill-fitted for that era. And there was a bit of litigation at the top, and I think really the driving factor was the price of gold, which really made the decision to shut it down. Since that time, this asset has been with other operators, but it's always been more or less the B asset. And for us, it is our primary focus. It's the A asset. And the reason that the project sat somewhat dormant for several years and decades, in fact, is because the prior operators that had it were putting other projects into production and actually producing. So at one point, this project got spun out to us, and we saw it as an opportunity, particularly in 2020, when the price of gold changed, the market picked up a little bit. So we were able to raise the necessary capital and put a new team in place, come at it with a new perspective, new eyes, and that's really been working out well for the company. You asked a little bit about the mine now, the company later. However, I'll blend a little bit of it in that at the end of 2020, we spent a number of months compiling all of the historic data for this project. We were very quiet. It didn't really help me in the market to do that. However, by 2021, by taking the time to do the desktop studies, having the right people look at all the historic data, come up with new interpretations of the geology, we were able to hit on essentially every hole in our 2021 program. So 2021 was a very pivotal point, turnaround point for the company, primarily because we had hit on essentially 12 out of 12 holes, although we lost one hole, so we can't comment on that, but and have hit some of the highest grades that the project has ever seen. So in sum, the project is in a fantastic mining belt, Flin Flon Snow Lake Mining District. Wikipedia has it on its front page as saying it's the most prolific mining district in the world, and primarily because of the concentration of VMS projects and gold. To date, ours is primarily gold, where we are right now at the main deposit area, the main mine site area. However, we are stepping out, and our property is so large that we are also going after anything copper, zinc, but that's going to be in a ground reconnaissance program in the future once we expand on the existing resource. So in sum, this is a project that is accessible to Flin Flon. It's drive up. It's access 12 months of the year. It has Manitoba Hydro grid power right to the project. And it has an amazing underground mining development, several mining galleries and stopes that were more or less left behind. There's a 2,100 meter decline, goes down to about 300 meters. And that is what is going to allow us to expedite the next step in this phase should all the evaluations return positive. We will be able to immediately dewater the mine and start going into the mining stopes and galleries that are in existence.
So, from my perspective, I'm looking at it and saying, okay, you still are finalizing and proving out the resource, and you're then getting ready to, once that's confirmed, move on to the next stage. What will be the next stage for you? I know that you've talked about draining the current mine shaft and being able to get down in there, but are you also looking at attracting the interest of another major player, or do you foresee that with the team that you have in place that you're going to move forward and start to build out the site itself?
So we do sort of promote ourselves as being on a dual track strategy, although the primary our resources are primarily allocated to exploration. However, because of the amount of infrastructure, both above ground and below, we are able to undertake and do some preliminary evaluations and a gap analysis on the permitting that would be required should everything continue to be positive to be able to evaluate putting the mine back into production. So you asked a little bit about what's our plans. Look, if somebody writes a nice enough check, I don't think anybody would be opposed to that. However, we do have some great players involved with us. And two in particular are Wes Hansen, who is our technical director, who worked as the chief geologist underground at the mine when it operated. And secondly, Jeff Stibbard with JDS Mining. JDS are mine builders. They're involved in every part of the operating and development part of mining. And Jeff was also the underground chief engineer on the project when it operated between 86 and 89. So we have a great wealth of historic information from these two and many others that were involved with the project. And so we have an explorationist driving one side and working with JDS and keeping them involved on a few things on the other side we have that gives us that optionality.
It's an exciting project, isn't it? And as it moves forward, I know that there's going to be a number of people who are going to want to know more. I hope you'll come back and give us updates in the future, because what you're working on, as you say, proven resource in a great mining district with great infrastructure, it's a very, very interesting business that you've got right at the moment, and a wonderful story to be able to tell. So
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I hope you'll come back and give us an update in a couple of months.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you very much for your time today.